Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. A real pleasure to have you here with us at Sundance London. Maybe you can
Thank
begin
you.
with a brief introduction to your film Fairyland. What can people expect when they watch it?
Hi, my name is Andrew Durham, and I'm the director of Fairyland. Fairyland is based on a memoir by Alicia Abbott, an American author, and it's her account of growing up with her father in San Francisco in the 1970s and 1980s. He was a single dad, he was a gay poet, and he lived a pretty bohemian lifestyle. And the entire story is told through the child's point of view. So it's sort of, it follows about age 5 to about 20, and we see this world through her perspective. It's a fun story, and it's kind of a heartbreaking story, but it's a true story.
How did you first come across Alicia's memoir, and what sparked the idea that perhaps this could work well on the big screen?
The memoir was actually originally sent to the producer of my film, Sofia Coppola. Alicia was really excited about having Sofia adapt the book and direct the film. And Sophia and I have been old friends and collaborators for many years. And Sophia read the book and thought, this is probably something that I should do. I also grew up in San Francisco during that exact same time in the 70s and 80s with a gay father. And so Sophia just thought I could bring a little bit more honesty, and and maybe some actual stories from my growing up, I could include them into the story just to add some truth to it. So that's how I ended up with the book. And then it was just a matter of convincing Alicia Abbott that I could do this. I had never made a movie before. I'm a photographer. But I think when Alicia heard my story and how our lives paralleled so much and how similar they were, she was pretty comfortable with me adapting it. And it's been a wonderful process all along. Alicia's been very supportive of my vision of it. She's been very involved in, I would send her drafts of the script and she would read them. She would come to set and visit. So she's been very supportive. So it's been a lot of fun.
How did you go about, translating this to the screen? How did you choose who was going to be your cast, and how did you work with them to kind of bring it to life?
Well, as a first-time filmmaker, this is when having somebody like Sophia on board really helps because she was able to get the scripts to actors that I wanted. So that was great. I've been a huge fan of Scoot McNairy for so many years, and he plays Steve Abbott, the father. Just to get Scoot to read the script was really a great opportunity. And then when he said yes, this was the best news ever. So that was really exciting. Amelia Jones, who's just incredible, and I hadn't seen Coda yet by the time, when we takes a long time to make these independent films, and some of these actors have been on board for a long time until we got our green light. But Amelia had read the script, and she and I met over Skype, but now it's called Zoom, but it was Skype back then. That's how long ago it was. But that was during the pandemic, and her take on the character was just so it was so natural, and she could really relate to Alicia. She kind of grew up not necessarily in the exact environment, but around very creative adults, parents that were in show business. And I think she really understood sort of that type of person, that type of child who could learn to, it was like to adapt to those situations. And I just fell in love with Amelia, and I just think that she did such a great job, and she was so sensitive in her portrayal of Alicia. It was really great. And all the actors that came in, we had to shoot the movie in such a short amount of time that we were asking huge favors of people. Gina Davis, who plays the grandmother, came in and did the whole thing in like 2 days. Adam Lambert, who's incredible, who just steals all of his scenes, came in and did it in 1 day. We have this wonderful actor, Cody Fern, who was able to come in about 4 days and do all of his stuff. It was just across the board. It was such a supportive group of actors. We have this little girl. She's 7 years old, Nessa Dougherty, and she carries half the film. She and Amelia and Scoot just worked and crammed so much into those 21 days and delivered such amazing performances. As a first-time filmmaker, I really lucked out.
And did you have a favorite scene that you liked filming, or one that was particularly challenging to pull off?
When you're making a period film set in San Francisco that spans 15 years, every scene was challenging. Like every single scene was a lot for us to accomplish. I had such a wonderful cinematographer and art director and costume designer that they were able to bring these very complicated scenarios to life and make it look pretty authentic. We sort of had this gay pride parade scene early on in the film, and we weren't sure how we were going to do that or how we could afford to do that. And just the way that it was shot and the way we incorporated some archival footage really makes it come to life. And I mean, in actuality, that scene was shot with just our three main characters up against a wall with 5 or 6 extras walking by. But I think when you watch the film, it feels a lot bigger than life. So that was one scene that I was really worried about. And there's some pretty emotional scenes towards the end of the film between Amelia and Scoot that, again, as a first-time filmmaker, I was nervous and insecure. Like, can I get those emotions on the screen? But you forget when you bring in these actors how talented they are, and this is their job. So Scoot and Amelia were able to just deliver some. They brought something to the film that I couldn't have imagined the film without them. They were really, really great. So they helped me a lot.
And what do you think people can take away from watching the film? I mean, obviously exploring with such nuance, a father-daughter relationship, a complex one. Also maybe reflecting a bit on like how accepting are we now in comparison to then in terms of different types of lifestyles? Maybe we've not progressed as far as we might have liked.
That's a really a great question. I'm not sure. I mean, I think that, well, the first part of your question is, I think that if there's something you can take away from this film, it's just to remember there's more than one type of good parent. I think there's great parents come in all different shapes and sizes and backgrounds. So that sort of traditional idea of a healthy child is going to come from a very certain type of environment. I hope that this shows another world, another possibility that, because Alicia Abbott has actually grown up to be a wonderful, intelligent, thriving, successful woman with a family of her own. So she did just fine growing up in what was probably looked at the time as a very unconventional environment. So that's kind of the big take. And also it's about unconditional love that, and if you don't, a lot of us don't have kids, but we all have parents. So I think this story hopefully shows you that there's a lot of things we have to forgive our parents for, and we have to forgive our children for. So that's a really important part of the story too. And whether or not how much we've evolved in the 40 years since this story took place, almost 50, that's tough. You could have asked me this question 15 years ago, and I would have said, "Oh, we're on a great path." And then now, I'm not sure. I think we seem to be sliding backwards a little bit. So I hope that this film shows that this is a time in history where Steve and Alicia broke a lot of rules, but they've sort of they've opened up the doors for a lot of younger people, hopefully, to raise their kids in not such a traditional environment. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing
thank
that
you
with us.
so much.
And really
Thanks a
enjoyed
lot.
presenting your film here at Sundance London.
Thank you
Thanks a
very
lot.
much. It was a pleasure.
So nice to chat to you. Thank you.